Okay, I wanted to make a follow-up video from this morning. In this morning's video, we identified a couple of areas down here in the ES and here in the ES as volume areas, and we were waiting for more information. So we're watching this wedge form in both the ES and the YM. So we had plenty of things to look at and wait for more information. Well, at 75, we had volume come in right here. You can see this on this bar. Now the 76 was also the March 27th high of the day, which I'm using as a bracket area high. So this volume came in here. We balanced for a little bit, and if you look in the YM, so the ideal entry would have been coming back into here or into this wedge after a volume break of it. Well, if you didn't want to wait for that, the YM gave you the entry down in here or here, whichever you wanted. And what you did not want is you just did not want price back inside this wedge. If you did, if price came back in there, it's not a big deal, but you had, this allowed for a small stop, and you had to be prepared to take the trade again. So after this formed, the ES came down to the prime entry area. If you took this long, it would have stopped you out with a small loss. Then the developing VPOC shifted up. This was your clue. In this context, this is very bullish in this context. So that was your indication to jump in again. And once again, your stop is back inside the wedge and below developing VPOC, ideally below here. If it got below here, this trade was just clearly wrong. So what happened? Got the volume up, and then we had a small balance area and a false breakout to the downside in both markets. We then proceeded to come back up, and the volume came in again to break the IB high. Volume came in again to break the top of this balance area. We then shot up and went past the S2 range high. Now, here's the important part. This candle right here, second highest volume of the day, second only to the opening bar. That's important. So this area was the area that the strong hands came in to truly extend the range. If they were going to target up in here, this is where they wanted to defend, this level here. Now the YM sometimes can be a little silly, but you can see she did break this area and even balanced a little while. This made this a little difficult to read for me, but she did hold this area, and she did hold her bracket area high. So now let's take a look at the ES as far as the volume profile. So here we have the volume profile. I have a composite volume profile in white that goes back to November 4th of 2016. That's just to capture all the volume in the market. Now I also have this composite drawn. This is a micro composite that is from March 22nd to current. And this is, you'll notice this area 76. This was where the value area high was at 75 at the time the volume came in. So when the volume did come in, it was this level that it was trying to break. This is the level, the 75, 76 is where buyers needed to go initiative. This was to take us initiative. Since Friday, we did have a failed breakout to the upside. She came down, went down to 44, which was the MCV-POC, and then by the end of that day, it shifted the MCV-POC up, giving us an indication value was being accepted higher. So then this morning we did gap up, inside range gap up, not that big. And after after this period here, it was relatively obvious that it wasn't going to be retraced down to settle. So especially after this move, if you saw this in this breakout, you knew that settle was done. It just wasn't going to happen. So now what do we have? We have volume up, we have balance, we have a double distribution profile with low volume in the middle. So for the end of the day, I will be marking a zone here. This will be a very important level for buyers to hold. Now in the ETH session, they could come down and test this, but if they break below this, then this might just be another failed breakout. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there.